amigos. So just allow me one moment to share this live with my friends. Live with my friends. Just so they can get in on the action if anyone wants to join. Okay, so let's get going here. The title of this live is Nice Guys Are Not Real, It's a Trauma Response. Nice guys are not real, it's a trauma response. Are you a nice guy? Have you labeled yourself a nice guy? Do you suffer from nice guyism? In this video, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to go deeper than certainly that I've ever been on this topic, possibly deeper than anyone has ever been on this topic. So get ready for this. If you struggle to communicate your desires to women, if it feels like you're doing something wrong or illegal, or if you feel low in confidence and that inevitably you're going to be rejected by any woman that you communicate your desires to, the odds are there's some kind of a trauma there, my friend. And I'm going to get into this in depth. So for anyone new to my channel, I'm Joseph Wingbro. I teach guys the noble art of cold approach. The noble art of cold approach pickup. It is the biggest opportunity in dating and relationships in 2025. If you're a guy who currently is single, perhaps in his 30s or 40s, looking around at his options, scratching his head, thinking, hold on, I feel like I'm a pretty attractive guy in my prime, and yet these algorithms do not favor me because I'm not over 6 foot tall, I'm over 30. I'm not the 27-year-old Giga Chad that is being favored. Of course, we know that algorithms essentially over select 5% of men, or not even 5%, 2% of men. As dating has become productized and it's become dehumanized. Getting out to the clubs may not be what you want to do. Let's say if you're in your 40s, even late 30s, and you're left scratching your head going, hold on, I've got all of this value, I've got the job, I've got the look, I've got the social experience, I've got the sexual experience, and I'm here scratching my head going, where's my next liaison coming from? Where's my next girl coming from? Where's wifey coming from? Cold approach may just be your dream ticket, my friend. It may just be your dream ticket. So yeah, if you want to find out more about that, I run 3-day immersions plus 90-day support, 90-day virtual wingmanship. I will say with absolute conviction, I am the best wingman in the world. I will say that with absolute conviction. I don't think there's anyone who can touch me as a wingman. I've winged guys virtually in sessions, which made me actually realize just how deeply, particularly with clubs, but just how deeply I know the club game. Because I can wing you just from the comfort of my sofa and tell you exactly what to do. It's pretty cool. It's because I know the level so well. So you get that in addition to the 3-day training if you come and work with me. It's a big life transformation, guys. Go through. I've worked with all sorts of professionals, lawyers, engineers, software engineers, creatives, journalists, different types of professionals, and put them through their paces in the streets, daytime cold approach. And yeah, it's just a life-changing thing. I've had 2 autistic guys get laid after my programs. One guy lost his virginity. So that really tells you what an opportunity this is. If you're neurotypical, just imagine what you can do with this skill, right? Because guys who've got social difficulties, they're absolute fucking legends, but they do have a disadvantage slightly compared to a neurotypical guy. They're still going out and crushing it. So imagine what you could do, my friend. If it's something that sounds interesting to you, get in touch, calendly.com/wingbro. But let's get into the main theme of the live here. Welcome from Saudi Arabia. Thank you for the comment. Let's get into the term nice guy. Now, let's get into the term nice guy because this is a term that I hear a lot. As I hear guys say a lot, they say that they're a nice guy or they suffer from nice guyism. And really, the nice guy is a label, but it hides a lot. The label hides a lot. You think, oh yeah, he's just a nice guy. I get it. Yeah, just be a bit more direct. But it hides a lot. And under the term, under those words, nice guy, are many caverns and dark dangers and dungeons. So let's dive into this now, and let's have a look at the term. The way I've come to define it recently, actually, in a flash of insight this week, is nice guyism really can be divided into different categories. So you may fall into one or more of these categories, and I'm going to define what they are, how they manifest, and I'm also going to give you tips and effective strategies for moving away to a more healthy form of communication. Okay, so the first category of the nice guy that we're going to discuss, this is probably the most familiar one to everyone. This is the naive romantic. The naive romantic. Okay, so this is the guy who shows up with the flowers, with the chocolates, believing that Hollywood version of romance, believing that programming. Okay, just as a side point, Hollywood movies are written by the most beta of betas. And obviously they're going to try and flip the world to make it look how they'd like it to look. But all of that programming is very ineffective. It's highly ineffective and actually quite repulsive to women. And effectively, what the guy does is he gives all of his power away without the woman actually earning anything. And when you buy a woman something, it literally doesn't affect their attraction to you at all. All it likely does is lower your attraction to them. When you buy them something early on, you buy her flowers, you bring her stuff, it usually is going to lower your value to them in their eyes. Down the road, of course, if you have a relationship with a girl and it's an act of appreciation, this is a totally different thing. But I'm talking early on. Okay, and what these guys don't understand is, well, they believe in chivalry. They talk about things like connection. They talk in quite a womanish way about relationships, especially about early on in the relationships. And it's surprising to me to hear guys using this kind of vernacular, using this kind of language, this kind of dialogue. It's this kind of modern psychobabble, womanish nonsense. And it just misses out on the fundamentals. It misses out basically on sexuality. So the nice guy really does not understand the woman as a deeply, viscerally sexual being. He doesn't understand her deep, dark desires. He doesn't understand she's really what she wants to be, in most cases, dragged into the cave by the barbarian and ravaged to pieces. She does not want the flowers. She does not want the chocolates. She does not want the submissive man, the subservient man. Okay, what she wants is to be ravaged by the beast, who then, at a later date, after a while, comes back to her with some flowers and some chocolates because she's so fantastic. She's made up the cave so well. She's cooked the food so well, and she's such a fantastic girl. She gets reward by a guy she actually admires and viscerally desires. That's what she wants. That's when she wants the chocolates, right? So the nice guy is just very naive to female sexuality. It's almost like a literal fantasy of a woman that they're interacting with. I've discussed it at times. I have friends who've discussed it as well. I've worked in nightlife, other friends who've worked in nightlife as well. You see this very sexual side to women. You'll see women, you'll experience being with women who they'll be sleeping with you one night, asking you to do all sorts to them. And then a couple nights later, you see them in the bar or in the club, and they're with a date or a boyfriend, and you're thinking, wow, they're looking all prim and proper, you know. So my my takeaway from that was, well, I don't want to be that guy, and of course we probably all have been that guy at some point, but I don't want to be that guy. So I'm going to position myself as the sexual guy first, and then that gives me the option to move into the dual role where I'm kind of the boyfriend and the sexual guy as well. But nice guys just basically don't get this. Nice guys just don't get it. So yeah, it's forgivable, I would say, but it's time to grow up if you're a nice guy. So first thing to do, I would say, as a cure is education. Educate yourself on the nature of woman. Look at your friends look at guys around you who get women, and look at how they operate. Look at also guys who get women and keep them as well, and have women who are devoted to them and obsessed with them. Look at those guys and watch their behavior. Are they submissive, subservient guys? Probably not. Almost certainly not, right? Almost certainly not. Learn about female sexuality. Learn about female sexuality. And in order to do that, let me just give you, this is YouTube, so there's only so much I can say on here, but let me just give you a bit of a reading list on this. There's 3 books I would recommend. The first is a book called Pimp by a writer called Iceberg Slim. Obviously, people dismiss that book because of the title, but if you think about what a pimp is in the 1970s, it's a man who has essentially psychologically controls a group of, let's say, 6 to 10 women who go out and have sex and bring him money from that act in order to gain his approval. Yeah. And they do it willingly and voluntarily. This is the thing. It's not. They're very. The book goes into a lot of detail about how that happens, and they call the guys who just beat women. They call them gorillas in that book, because it's not really the way that the true pimp actually does things. It's not skilled. I think there's 1 or 2 times where the guy does use violence, but it's his standard mode is not that at all. And it's a very interesting book as regards female sexuality. So I would, and male female dynamics. Obviously it's taken to an extreme, but if you're a nice guy, you need to see the extreme. See the extreme. The next one would be a book called My Secret Garden. It's even if you just read, I've read about 10 chapters of it, and you just see how deeply wild and demented female sexual fantasies are. These are all written by women. All of these fantasies are written by women, and it's just crazy shit like being raped by her doctor, having sex with an elephant or something. It's completely insane things, right? So you just get how insane the female mind is. It's far more unleashed sexually than men. And then 50 Shades of Grey, of course. 50 Shades of Grey is interesting because almost the entire readership is female. It's about 95% female readership. And you just got a few deviant guys like me who go and read it for curiosity, to kind of think, well, if women are so obsessed with this, and I'm interested in women, and I'm interested in gaining their devotion, I need to research this. And so go and read that book. BDSM stuff, standard stuff. And so that type of thing, you need to bring that into your sex life. You need to bring that into your demeanor. Other things you can do as well. Also look at different films as well. One film I would recommend is a film called 365. I think it's 365 or 365 Days, which is about an Italian gangster who kidnaps a Polish woman because she looks like his ex-girlfriend or something bizarre like that. Kidnaps her and keeps her hostage, and eventually she becomes his girlfriend. It's a complete ridiculous female fantasy. It's all this kind of luxury lifestyle porn. The guy is a literal model who plays the lead character. he like coercively gets his servants to like give him blowjobs and stuff like that. It's a completely insane storyline. It's set in the modern world, and the woman eventually she falls in love with her kidnapper. Right. This was wildly popular with women all around the world, particularly in Latin America, but all over the world. Because deep down it just it speaks beyond the female rational mind to her essence. You know, sexuality is the essence, is the fire out of which we all come. So, yeah, anything that goes that deeply into it, it just casts aside all the kind of modern niceties. Another film I liked as well as a presentation of, should we say, a variety of alpha males. There's a series called The Ottomans on Netflix. I would actually recommend this series. If you want to see a variety of different alpha males presented, I think it's a very good film. You've got Mehmed II, who is the Ottoman Sultan. He's this kind of dark, brooding, obviously Muslim warlord, and he's on his way to take over Constantinople. I think he's a great figure he's a great historical figure, but he's a very compelling figure of a certain type of alpha male. You've got Constantine the Great, who is the king of Constantinople, the last Roman emperor, and he is, in a way, he is an alpha male as well. He's a leader, but he's a leader under siege. And then you've probably got the two more fantasy type guys. You've got an Italian soldier of fortune. I forget the guy's name, but who defends the city. He's the kind of classic swashbuckling soldier. And you've also got Vlad Tepes as well, Vlad the Impaler, who's probably he's probably like the most alpha in the whole film. But yeah, you can kind of see how they would have, particularly Vlad and the Italian guy, you can see how they would inspire immense devotion from their women. And in Vlad's case, when his wife thinks that he's been killed, which he hasn't, she commits suicide. So the presentation in that series is excellent. So yeah, so watch that and take what you can. I liked it because there are different types of alphas there. It's not just one guy. It's not just, you know, the tatted up meathead or, you know, the guy in a leather jacket. It's not just that. There's other varieties there, and they all have that some essence to them. So watch that as well. But 365 is probably the best one to watch because it's just female porn. Even other things as well with in educating yourself. If you're this type of nice guy, just watch fucking nature documentaries. I'm not even joking. We are mammals, right? A lot of our behavior and our sexuality and all sorts of psychology is just based in our simian primate nature. So just fucking watch nature documentaries. See who the female apes mate with, right? The nice guy literally comes over and grooms them, and then when the alpha comes around, or one of the alphas comes around, she just will tell him to fuck off. She'll go and copulate with the alpha. And it's just, yeah, the nice guy has to rise his way through the ranks, you know? So this is, in my opinion, this is the easiest fix for nice guys. It's education and it's stepping into a new identity. It's maturity. See women for what they are, not the fantasy that you think they are. And you have to grow up. You have to grow up and unleash that inner beast, unleash that inner animal. And that goes as early as you can. You bring that in as early as you can. So you can even bring a little bit of this in, or maybe a lot of it in on the approach. But certainly as you get into the dates and into the bedroom, this is what you want to embody. And certainly in the relationship itself as well. So for me, I still find the approach itself, it's not always easy for me to summon that in the approach itself, because I kind of feel like, oh, this is broad daylight here. I'm going to go into the raunchy seducer right off the bat. Sometimes it can be a little bit much. I've seen sometimes in my infields as well, sometimes a girl, when I go in that direction, they literally physically back away a little bit. So on the initial approach, it's almost like you want to suggest at that and hint at it, and then you bring in more fully later on. But yeah, in general, this is very solvable type of nice guy. So nice guy number 2, the manipulator, the manipulative weasel. So Yeah, this is a nice guy who he probably does this with other people in his life as well. It's all about being very pleasant, very differential. Um, maybe doing favors for people, um, giving away time and so on. But it's in the expectation that he's going to get something back. It's in the expectation he's going to get something back. So he takes the girl out for meals and things, but it's in the expectation, okay, now she's going to put out for me. What a horrible term that is. Unbelievably primitive term. It's, yeah, in the expectation he's going to get something back. This will not just be with women, it'll be in other areas of his life. And it's really just very manipulative, disguised self-interest. It's self-interest has kind of gone into subterranean mode. And it's quite a diva-ish way of being. Nietzsche would call this, he would call this an aspect of slave morality as well. And so, yeah, let me just break this down a little bit more. So a healthy way of being generous, of being pleasant, of being decent with other people, being, if you want to go out, buy the girl a few drinks. A healthy way is kind of from place of abundance and kind of overflowing joy and resources, or just power, or whatever it is. That's a healthy way to do it, and you give that stuff away. So when I for example, if I give someone some advice, or take a moment out to give someone attention, a friend, a girl, or whatever, genuinely I'm giving it away. I don't expect anything back. I'm giving it away because I've got more than I need, so I'm giving it away. But this type of nice guy, the manipulative weasel, he's he's giving of himself in the expectation someone else is going to give back to him, and it's an unspoken expectation. He's signing someone into a contract coercively that they had no desire to be in from the beginning. It's like, oh, I bought you this for your birthday. Why didn't you take me to the cinema? It's like, well, I didn't, I didn't ask you to buy me anything. You just did it. I thought it was a generous gift. I didn't realize I was getting into this quid pro quo thing with you, right? So this type of nice guy. First of all, this is a very, very ugly way of acting, and if this is you, you need to cut it, because anyone sensitive or worldly will see through it, and women, as nature itself, women as a manifestation of nature, will see through it, and they always do. They always do. They always do, and they don't like it as well. They don't like it. So, yeah, demanding these nice guys. Basically, they're demanding people, and it's very manipulative. So, what was my solution here? What's this? Yeah, first of all, is to cut this kind of behavior out and lead with a more direct style of communication, lead with a more desire-based level of communication. The UK is a very indirect culture. People don't say what they mean. So sometimes people fall into this trap on a cultural level, which is okay. It's also not very good. I find it quite difficult sometimes, like dealing with negotiating with UK people. I can find quite irritating, because I like to just know what you mean, and then we can make a negotiation. So there are some cultures that are a bit like this. Maybe there are others out there, but this is not good for your personal life. You want to say what you mean what you say, and approach communication with women from a desire-based standpoint. I want this. That's what I want. What do you think? Do you want it as well? You don't even say, do you want it as well? You just say, I want this. And they just either come along or they don't. And yes, don't try and score brownie points with a girl. Don't think along those terms. Just think about what you want. Okay? And the girl has the option to either go along with it or not go along with it. There's all sorts of this. I mean, I would argue this goes maybe even deeper than this whole idea that we're all somehow responsible for everybody else's lives and how their emotions are. And people try and play all these ridiculous games all the time. It's very bad for interpersonal communication. Go for what you want And if the other person wants it, great. And if they don't, you will have to accept that. That's part of being mature, grown up. Not everyone wants what you want. Okay. You want the girl, she doesn't want you. Okay, fine. Fine. Stop wasting your time and find a girl who does. Who cares if she doesn't want you? Who cares? Give your attention to the girls who want you and you want them back. There will be girls like that out there. Some of these types of guys I think are maybe incurable, to be honest. It's so deeply ingrained in them. But I would say, as general, in a general sense, if this is you, you got to start letting go. You've got to start letting go. Approach based on desire. Let go of control, and stop being manipulative. Stop being manipulative. Okay, so that is the manipulative weasel. Okay, so those first two I think are relatively superficial. We're still in the superficial realm here. Now I'm going to get into what I describe in the title of this live as the trauma of the nice guy. And this is where, if you stuck with me this far, this is going to be potentially quite thought-provoking for you. So again here, I've broken it down into two broad types of nice guyism that I have seen. And again, think about whether this applies to you. I'll also give you some tips as well I'll give you some tips at the end of how this can actually be solved. So first of all, let me define trauma. Because it's a word that gets thrown about on the internet a lot. People talk about their traumas. Sometimes they are obviously real traumas, sometimes they're completely bullshit. You do not want to self-generate trauma, okay? Just because you've had a bad day. You don't want to self-generate trauma. If you actually have a real trauma, you may not even know. Or it may just be something that is like a depressing factoid of your life. But yeah, those types of people typically don't go around talking about it that much, if at all. They're reluctant to acknowledge it. The people who spout off about their trauma, usually it's usually frankly like immature people who they've probably not experienced that much. But it does depend. It does depend. You may already know that you've got some issue. The way I'll define trauma is an event or pattern that causes an unhealthy coping mechanism or imprinting. An event or pattern that causes an unhealthy coping mechanism or imprinting. So on a basic level, let's say you've been at war and you've had a trauma of shells and bullets flying past you. Then you get home and you're walking down the street and you just hear a car, maybe the tire bursts, or they go over a stone and you hear that banging sound, and you have a flinch response, or you dive on the floor. There's been an event or a pattern of events that has caused a now unhealthy response, or an unhealthy coping mechanism or imprinting. You've got imprinted by that sound, and you've got that flinch response. Okay, so that would be, something we all know that veterans in many cases have just different types of trauma. You're probably always going to come away with something, and it's going to be at least what I've just described there. And so the first type of trauma I've identified of the nice guy is the trauma of accommodating pathology. The man who accommodates pathology in one sense or another. Whether this is from, and this is a result of some kind of imprinting in childhood or some kind of event in childhood. Whether it's having maybe perhaps an extremely overbearing mother, a mother who's pathological, a mother who's got personality disorder, or a father who's got personality disorder, or an alcoholic. So maybe they've got some other developmental issues, or whatever their issue is. But they go into what I call the 1%, the 2% zone. And that's where, someone is acting way out of bounds. So A normal response to anger might be, you know, someone to say, look, you're pissing me off right now. Okay, and maybe a slightly elevated response might be people have a shouting match, you know, bit of a shouting match. I don't recommend that, to be honest. I recommend if that happens to you with a woman, you need to shut it right down. You need to tell her directly, don't ever raise your voice at me. If you do, basically, don't ever raise your voice at me and don't ever think I won't leave you. I'll never tolerate that. Or just keep it short and sweet. Yeah, just newsflash with me, I never have shouting matches with women. They don't shout at me. And if they do, if they get angry about something, that's exactly what I'll say. And they realize I'm being serious. So that's not to act like some kind of tough guy. It's just something I'm not willing to tolerate. So even though I get shouting, people raise their voice, I still don't think it's healthy. I still don't think it's healthy. But and maybe it can be a bit of fun if we're a Latina or something. Maybe if sometimes you almost do it for fun with Latinas. It's a weird thing to say, but it can sometimes happen. But in general, I don't recommend it. So that would be like within a normal range. People sometimes raise their voice, things get a bit heated. Fine, that could be within a normal range. I still don't like the voice raising though. Outside the normal range is the girl picking up a glass and throwing it at you, or is a girl striking you in any way, shape or form. Like seriously, not like a little playful little tap, you know, like a loving little thing. Like a girl actually hitting you or throwing something at you, or attacking you in any way. That's the 1 or 2% zone. That's way out of bounds. Most normal girls will never do that. Most normal girls will never do that. It's completely out of bounds, and that's the 1 or 2% zone. Never mind breaking things in the house, breaking windows, screaming, and it obviously applies to men as well. You don't go into the 1 or 2% zone of like punching the woman. Obviously, that's fucking bizarre, right? But guys who've been raised with that type of behavior from their parents, yeah, it can potentially create an imprinting where that actually seems normal to them. And so it can crop back up at a later date, and you might find yourself tolerating behavior that a guy who didn't have that imprinting would immediately say, no, this is too far now. I'm out. Gone. Bye. You just shut it right down. So it's accommodating pathology, and it's an understandable thing that happens, because if you're used to accommodating that when you're a child, you have to do it for your own safety. You have to learn to accommodate someone who's pathological for your own safety. You have to learn to accommodate someone who's pathological for your own, in order to get affection, in order to feel like you're loved, in order to maybe even have dinner. You know, you don't know what this unbalanced person, they're going to starve you, right? All sorts of things happen. I've worked in family services. All sorts of things happen. And it's completely understandable that someone, male or female, will get an imprinting, or they'll develop a coping mechanism of accommodating pathology, when in fact it's obviously how they survive as children, and this then plays out in the adult world. And so they will tolerate the intolerable. They'll deal with behavior that they just should not deal with. And maybe they even associate that with love as well, which is even more problematic. They may have issues putting up clear boundaries, and yeah, this is an issue within their psychology. That area, their ability to put up boundaries has never been developed, and mostly boundary putting up mostly is quite a calm thing. It's mostly just like, you just stop responding to somebody. That's actually the best way to put up a boundary. It's not to rant and rave and be responsive. It's just to stop responding and say, no, I'm not into this. And you just cut them out for a while. And that shows a pretty clear boundary. So yeah, accepting unacceptable behavior. Yeah, so this is quite a deep one. This is quite a deep one, and it can affect both men and women. People respond in different ways to this type of trauma. So some of the stuff I've described there, I've actually seen myself growing up. And I think, if I think of my own pattern, it would actually be more towards being protective of women, maybe being overprotective of women, and not to maybe to a fault. I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's maybe I can maybe go too far with it. Um, and yeah, in my case, I actually think myself, my issue would be more with distance. So I'm like, if I see red flags, I will distance myself really quick because I don't want any of that bullshit in my life. Um, so yeah, I'm giving you my inner workings a little bit, and perhaps you might be able to think about yourself. Does this apply to you? There's definitely guys out there though who accept unacceptable behavior, and it will come from their childhood. Um, so ways for us to actually move past this. Ways for us to actually move past this. Um, yeah, the accommodating pathology. Let's have a look here. What I had next up here. The number one thing to do here is to actually look at yourself. Is to look at yourself. People look at the other person. The number one thing to do is look at yourself first of all. And if this is you, if you're liable to accept or you even get excited by very bad behavior, is to look at yourself. Say, okay, does this apply to me? Have I actually been traumatized here? Is this normal? Is it healthy? Do I want to live like this for the rest of my life? If the answer is no, which it probably is, then yeah, there's going to be steps you're going to have to take in order to um, in order to support a fully developed, a fully rounded psycho development. There's a guy I'm following at the moment. I'll recommend to you, if any of these things on this live you think are related to you or affect you, a guy called Jerry Wise, Jerry Wise. Yeah, he's a big chubby American guy who's a pastor and he's a psychotherapist and he works with something called Family Systems. I found his work to be absolutely invaluable. It's really helped me. It's helped me maybe more than any YouTube channel I've ever seen. It's an incredible channel because he talks about how the system of the family works, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, that's exactly what happens with these kind of scenarios. And so it allows you to make sense of things, of how you would have been molded and fit in to a certain system. And he's got these two great terms he uses. One of them is it's never too late to have the childhood you didn't have. It basically talks about, developing like self-soothing, moving out of the emotions and just starting to move more into the logical adult mind. You don't want to be emotionally reactive as an adult man. You need to move more into the adult mind. Emotions are there, but you need to move into the adult mind. You don't want to be trapped in those juvenile emotions. And the other thing he also talks about as well is something called self-differentiation. Self-differentiation. I think this is a problem for a lot of men, not just men who are traumatized, or you can have like a low-level trauma, it is a trauma in the sense it's a undesirable pattern, which is a result of some experience you've had, but it's not maybe on an extreme level. But where guys are not self-differentiated from their families of origin, they're in their 30s and 40s and they're still worried about what mum and dad will think. There's something going on there. This is not healthy. You need to be self-differentiated, meaning it's absolutely fine with you if your family disapproves of you, how you live or what your choices are. That's absolutely fine. That's okay. That is their right. You don't want to be enmeshed with and second guessing your life based on your family's approval or disapproval. And so he calls that self-differentiation. So those processes there, I think, are really, really helpful. Go check out his channel. If any of this stuff applies for you, honestly, the guy will change your life. He changed my life. I've not even done his course. I've just watched his videos and been like, yeah, brilliant. I'll do that. And it's been super helpful. Yeah. So if you're accommodate pathology, you've got to look yourself in the eye and go, okay, how do I change this so that I don't do this in the future? We don't want to repeat this for the rest of our lives. Let's have a look at the no father or women, the matriarchy everywhere. Yeah, so this is another issue as well. It's like guys who are raised with this is quite common actually, guys who are raised with either an overbearing mum or there's no male figure around at all. look at the USA now. I think what percentage of single mums have we got? In the black community in the USA, it's 80% single mums. Fuck my life, 80%. And then even in whites, it's like, it's ridiculous. It's like 30, 40%, right? So you've got, and also in a quite an unregulated, like loopy culture like America as well. Of course, the guys are going to be coming out with issues. Of course they are. Or maybe just a dad who didn't really stand up for himself. A dad who was too afraid. Maybe he was traumatized from his childhood and he was too afraid to handle the mother in the way it should have been handled. Or maybe he was too overbearing and aggressive himself. There's all these different permutations, right? But yeah, this increasingly fatherless society, yeah. But that all this stuff can be put in place as you get older. You can develop it as an adult man. It is natural to us, but I think you've got to realize, yeah, I've got a problem before you're able to tackle it. Yeah, I'm interested, Baltus, because you mentioned this a couple of times. You mentioned it in Serbia actually for one. Do you feel that like maybe daytime approach and then travel and everything you've been doing? Do you feel that that sort of it's given you an aspect of your character that probably should have been developed, as a young man, probably should have been your dad or your uncles or whatever. Do you feel that this process has actually given you that? I think the tribal effect of the group that we're involved in is really helpful. It kind of reproduces that natural tribal effect of like, guys develop, they get appreciated, they get challenged. I think it's really psychologically good for guys. It allows you actually to finally round off your psychology. Yeah, and then, well, wait, if you're still on, you can always drop me a note in there. So that would be the first one there, the first type of pathology, the accommodating pathology. The other type of nice guy. So you see that accommodating pathology is it's not really nice. You see with the nice guy, really, it's not, none of the things that I've outlined here, none of them are really nice. Like the hopeless romantic, or the manipulative weasel, or the guy who's accommodating pathology. None of this is actually nice. So the word nice guy, it definitely hides what's really going on under the surface. So the next type of nice guy I'm going to discuss here is the overperformer, the guy who's over responsible for others. This is a type of nice guyism of like maybe the guy who steadies the ship, the guy who mediates between two conflicting parties, maybe the guy who takes a bit too much responsibility for women. The guy who feels obligated to solve other people's problems. Yeah, this is one I'm definitely familiar with. In a sense, it can be okay. It can be okay if as I say, if it's coming from a place of generosity and overabundance. But if you're feeling obliged and you're doing things you don't really want to do, in order to maybe satisfy something in your mind, or just like an autopilot response, this almost certainly stems from a childhood issue. And it stems from a childhood issue of stepping into a family system in which probably parental figures are not appearing or not showing up as they need to, or just disappearing full stop. And a child is left in a position, really an adult position, where they're stepping in to take some of the reins in one way or another. It might not even be, in some cases, it's literally like kids being sent out to work and stuff in the third world when they're like 10. But in other cases, it can just be like, it could be looking after other people in the house, younger siblings, or it could just be like emotional burden, like, people's parents, like confiding in them when they're like fucking 12, 13, using their own children as therapists, right? That is obviously not appropriate, but it happens a lot. It happens with dysfunctional, pathological parents who try and use their own children as their therapists, right? And obviously, this can create patterns. The person developing thinks it's their responsibility or just absorbs that pattern, it's their responsibility to solve to solve other people's issues, basically. So it's kind of over performance, right? This is definitely one. This is probably the one that I relate to the most out of all of these. So I definitely felt growing up that I needed to be, first of all, I needed to be perfect personally, so that I didn't increase the burden of difficulty on the family, on anybody else. So if I'm perfect, I'm not going to get preyed on, and I'm not going to increase the level of difficulty for anybody else. So that'd be number one. And then number two is like stepping into the breach at different times to assist different people through, dealing with behavior that's like problems I didn't cause, problems I didn't want to happen, but I'm the person stepping into the breach to actually deal with them. So when I think back, some of this shit, like a lot of stuff happened to me, to be honest, when I was growing up. A lot of good things happened as well. So this is the other thing with these types of patterns. It doesn't mean that you were universally just like whipped in a corner and just abused to death. Obviously, someone like that is just a shell. They become an alcoholic, they become a heroin addict, right? Someone who's totally destroyed, it's very difficult. Like, it's going to take a lot for them to get back. But these patterns can run even when families, they are actually trying to some extent. They're failing, but they are actually trying to some extent. This can still happen. So, God, I remember like probably being both my parents' therapists at different times. Not like, my dad's fucking absolutely bizarre shit. And then maybe just being the one who, took care of other people in different ways growing up. And that probably went into my adulthood as well, a little bit. And so sort of perfectionism and then looking out for other people. And I've found personally that this concept of self-differentiation has been really useful. And it's also Jerry Wise's materials also made me realize, like, when you say no to let's say family members who are hoping you're going to step in to help them resolve their problems, you may get a guilt reflex. I certainly have had that. You may get a guilt reflex because, on some level, there's something inside you that is saying, oh, you should help here. But actually, that is not even your emotion. That is a system's emotion. It's an emotion, it's a response that was programmed into you in order to make you comply or conform within some kind of a pathological role in a family system. This is a really big one. This definitely applies. Ask yourself this: is this emotion that I'm feeling, is this actually mine? Is this actually my centered self feeling this emotion? Or is it some weird sub-modality, matrix in my personality that's feeling this? And very often, these emotions will not even be your own. So if you get that feeling of guilt, that you're somehow responsible for someone else's problems, that's probably not even your own emotion. It's just something that's there, it's built into you from a family level. If you can rise above that, look at the situation logically, okay, can I just separate that away? What do I feel here? And so, families become enmeshed, psychology becomes enmeshed. And this is why self-differentiation is such an amazing process. It's so useful, such a useful process. Guys, check out Jerry Wise. His fucking material on this, in my opinion, is unparalleled. I've watched loads of material, I've read loads of psychology and psychiatry about personality disorders, and I had all the knowledge there. I know how to identify what somebody is, and even how to deal with them. I've never seen someone who went into so much depth about how that actually affects your development, how it affects the family development, what you can actually do practically to resolve that. And in my case right now, I'm actually being tested on this right now. This exact thing I'm talking about right now, self-differentiation, guilt tripping, etc. I've been tested on this in the last 2 weeks, and I'm definitely in a good place with it. Definitely in a good place. Calm, differentiated, good. So yeah, go check him out. Go check him out. Let's have a look at what Balthasar said here. But the entourage gives you permission and support. Serbia changed me, but going back to Belgium changed me as well. It's a culture and location thing if you want lasting change. Complaining about husbands and men is standard practice in my family. Yeah. Yeah, what I find actually, so for anyone who's on the channel, Balthus is a friend of mine. He's a wing, and he's also a coach as well. And we winged together in Barcelona and also in Belgrade as well. And so I'd been out in Serbia for a few months before. I've been around the Balkans before, and then Balthus and Ephraim came out. And we were just getting, just getting into the approaches, and just seeing like a different form of behavior in Eastern Europe. It's very much more like male female traditional. They're not so great with approach, to be honest, Serbian guys, but they're definitely masculine. I don't think there's any doubt about. No one's calling them like pussies, basically. Like they're definitely masculine. They're just reserved and shy with the approach stuff. But just and the way that the women behave, they have like dignity. They have shame of like shameful behavior, and also they expect a certain thing from men. They expect a certain thing from women. And so yeah, we're going out there, hitting that. And Balthus had like a moment of like, oh my God, this is so different to what I'm used to. Am I ready for this? Am I actually stepping up for this? Or am I still kind of a little bit too much of a Western European, a good Westerner, basically? And so it was a good process of development for him. I definitely had that feeling at different points. I think probably when I was first out in the DR, that was when I had that feeling of like, wow, my free-flowing manhood has been robbed from me, because I can see the guys out here, they've not had the same culture, and actually they have more healthy dynamic with women. So I definitely got that there. I think by the time I got into the Balkans, I probably had already had this realization, so I'd already been working on it. Yeah, Belgian waffle eater mindset. Complaining about husbands and men is standard practice in my family. Yeah, that's just very unhealthy. It's just incredibly unhealthy. Women, when you put them together psychologically, it can be a real shit show. It can be a real shit show. It really can. And if you, a lot of these, a lot of these places in Europe, Belgium, Austria and stuff, they've actually become hyper feminized post World War II. Hyper feminized. They've really gone down the, this like new world mindset, and it has maybe some merit in a sense. Like, let's give the devil its due. Like, yeah, women should be able to have jobs, which, by the way, they could have. By the way, contrary to popular belief, they had jobs beforehand. But obviously, yeah, having jobs and rights and so on, yeah, fine. But in terms of relationships, they know it themselves. They know it themselves. Like, so many like girlfriends of mine have said like, yeah, I prefer just to be like, obviously got my friends and stuff, but there's a lot of drama with it. And then she's like, yeah, I see you with your friends, and it's like, yeah, right, I'll meet you at 10 o'clock. Yeah, champs. Yeah, I'll see you there. The time, the place, and then that's it. And then we go out, we get on, we do what we do. We might have a deep conversation. We might just have a laugh. It's usually pretty healthy with guys. Not always, but it's usually pretty healthy. And if things get weird and diva-ish and manipulative, guys like that will just get weeded out. People will exclude them. They don't want to be around it. Whereas with women, it's all sorts of fucking bizarre shit going on. So yeah, they need male presence. They need to be regulated by male presence. Of course they do. Our job, actually, this is something that Jordan Peterson gets drastically wrong, is that I've heard him say many times that a woman's job is to civilize a man. That's her job. And it's absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Does anybody see, like, especially like Western Europe, America, do you see men going around like headbutting each other and just like stabbing each other just routinely until the magical woman comes along and civilizes them from this animalistic barbarian? It's complete nonsense, right? The truth is, man's job and marriage itself is a process of civilizing a woman. That's what it is. The woman is by her nature uncivilized. Like, she just is. Like in her inner workings, right? So it's the man's job to provide, even if he can go in his uncivilized ways, but in general, it's his job to provide that stability and that rock and that core. and also give her negative feedback where appropriate. A woman without negative feedback really just becomes a monster. I mean, really, a really ugly thing to be around. American women very often like this. Women who've not had negative feedback, they're basically undateable. They maybe they get to their early 30s and they start to realize, oh shit, I'm actually not as good looking as these other younger girls now. And if I want to, if I want to land a husband, I'm actually gonna have to start behaving like a human being. We can't blame them entirely because they just don't get the negative feedback. The culture has told men it's wrong to give women negative feedback, which it is not. They need negative feedback. They need a lot of it actually. Yeah, and women also respond very well to shame. If you shame, men tend to respond well to like something actually moral. But if you just socially shame a woman, that is what they respond to. There's a reason why there are no female moral philosophers. There's not even one of notes. You couldn't name a single one. Go through the pantheon of philosophers. It's not like there haven't been women who could have written philosophy, particularly in the last 50, 60 years. It's not in them. It's not in them. Yeah, but shame, and this is why they're so conformist. So yeah, just shaming tactics actually work on women. Appealing to morality doesn't, because their brains don't really work like that in most cases, or in many cases anyway. So I'm generalizing here, obviously. Let's have a look here, what people are saying. We've got a few other people here. Midnight Awareness, Scandinavian women lead relationships over there. Men sit back, it's crazy. Yeah, the Scandies have been completely cocked, and they're just complete pussies, basically. It's over. They're civil, and look at what they've become. You know, pathological empathy, no boundaries, right? No vision for the obvious consequences of letting fucking shitloads of Turks and Somalis into your fucking country. Denmark actually is quietly woken up on that one. It's like, yeah, maybe this was not the greatest idea. Sweden has basically committed suicide. Yeah, I don't think that would happen under male rule. Right? So yeah, I'm an old school machista in the sense of like politics. I think politics is best if it's just basically got like 30 armed men, the Greek city-state. Right, we'll just make the decisions. We won't be selfish pieces of shit. We'll hold each other accountable, but we need to make the decisions about what happens here from a defensive point of view. I've never met an intelligent woman, or very few from the first world, who even had a concept really of what danger was, because they're raised in societies that are so pampered. They don't even understand what danger is. They don't understand the threat of the outsider. How the outsider can absolutely wreck your entire society, because then it becomes this whole chain of events, you know, and it just destabilizes a whole fucking country. So yeah, it goes into the political realm as well. I'm not here to rant about that, but it's effectively Western men have effectively cocked themselves on a political level, and then obviously it goes. But the area I'm interested in is more the personal level. So yeah, so the Scandi men, they're a bunch of pussies now. What am I supposed to say? I've been told this by Scandi women that I've approached as well. So many women I approach have said, yeah, we just love it when guys take the lead. And this is like Canadian feminists who told me this. Yeah, even girls who would say themselves, they would say they're a feminist. Girls who've got like successful careers, earning like loads of money in big corporations, they still say the same thing. So it's just innate in their nature. JP is woke now. JP means that men without become dangerous. Yeah. Mean is the king of approaching girls who don't respond to text. Yeah. I think honestly, I think Peterson, overall, I do think he's been a really good force for men overall. Yeah, maybe saying there that men become incels, like basically, or they become resentful or whatever, but he is a cock. He's a cock. When it comes to women, he's a complete cock. He's so afraid to criticize women. I've listened to it quite sensitively. He says things like, oh, you know, women don't do these things because they're typically too sensible to. It's just like, what planet are you living? You're talking about sensible women. What planet are you living on, bruv? He also married his childhood sweetheart that he saw for the first time when he was 9. Yeah, I know his story well. I've watched practically like all his videos. He married his childhood sweetheart that he met for the first time when he was 9. She had a prom date who sacked her off, and Jordan stepped into the breach as a substitute. and they went to the prom together. She then left him, when they went to university, and then they got back together again mysteriously in their mid-20s and got married. So he's always been a substitute. He's really a pussy with women. He just is. He's a complete boomer, libtarded pussy with women. And I say that I really like him. Overall, I think his overall message to men has been fucking incredible. His overall impact has been amazing. But on this one thing, for some reason, I don't know what it is, he's got this ridiculous romanticized view of women. Completely insane. Completely insane. Maybe it's from his own, thing. He can't admit that he's basically a beta. Basically, he is, even though he's got so much success in his older years. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe he had a great mum. I don't know. And maybe he can't accept the changes in society. I don't know. Even when he talks about stuff like the pill and abortion, I've seen him touch upon it, and he can't go there because it's like, yeah, dude, they're voting to kill their own children. This is why men need to be the ones who civilize women. In this country, Dominican Republic, abortion is fucking illegal. Yeah, it is a crime. Yeah, if you're a doctor and you're performing those, you'll go to prison. Yeah, your surgery will be shut down and you'll go to prison. Consequently, we have above replacement rates in this country, 2.1. There we go. It's urbanizing super fast. The country's shockingly wealthy compared to what people would imagine. Every day I go out and I'm like, this is the developing world. It's fucking nicer than my city. There's still a few issues here, but they're still way above replacement rates. Europe has been below replacement rates for 50 years. So is the USA. There we go. So men abdicating their responsibility for civilization eventually results in decivilizational things. Again, I'm going up in the air here, but just on a grounded level, our responsibility of men is to give women negative feedback and positive feedback. Is to be supportive, but also disciplined. Yeah, it's both sides to the coin, right? It's both sides to the coin. And if you do that, you're gonna have a solid family, solid relationship. If you can't do that, you don't even want to be in relationships if you can't do this stuff. I've seen guys in I see them, like, young guys being bullied by their girlfriends and stuff, or these Norwegian guys being marched along in Santo Domingo by their little girlfriends. Massive dude being marched along. Like, he's got like the psychology of a little 3-year-old boy because he's been told his whole life that women are like super amazing, and then he deals with them and he can't actually deal with the fact they're not. They're manipulative, they're devious. Yeah, they need your logic to beat their emotional nonsense, right? And they'll take control of your entire life, and and ruin your entire life. They won't even feel guilty about it. Yeah, and then they'll blame you, right? So we have to save them from themselves, right? And the guys that do that, those are the guys that actually they are devoted to. The guys that they actually will end up loving. They'll become devoted to, right? It just is what it is. Guys have got a false fucking picture of the human ape, the human animal, of what the male and the female are. So, yeah, just ranted a little bit there, but everything I said there, I believe is true. I believe is true. It's everything. 20 years of being in the adult world has taught me this. So reapproaching, yeah, making them feel ashamed. Yeah, this is good. I'm interested. So he reapproaches via text, or does he reapproach just in person? Yeah, it's something I need to start doing that with girls. Yeah, maybe girls who are blanking me. Maybe I make them feel a bit ashamed. The way I would roll with that when I was in the club situation would be, if a girl would mess me around a little bit, it's inevitable at some point I would probably be with another girl, and then right in front of them I would just bring the other girl right in front of them and then just talk to them. And if the other girl was hot as them or hotter, it's kind of like their brain starts to go like, oh right, this guy actually is the shit, isn't he? And I've been dismissing him. Why have I been doing that? And obviously it might be my behavior. I couldn't figure out what to do. But I noticed that works quite a lot as well. That would get them motivated as well, pre-selection in a way. Or in-person 2 sets. So you see them and then you take the piss. I'd love to meet this guy, man. He sounds fucking cool. He sounds like an absolute legend. Yeah. So guys who are just loose and have got this culture behind them, they obviously they're gonna fly in daytime approach, man. So we've done an hour here. How long have I got till work? I've got 15 minutes till work. Fuck me, today's gonna be a grim day. So yeah, the other thing that just I'll finally finish on, I've mentioned things like personality disorders and things like that. I've mentioned different things that people grew up with. All of this can absolutely be resolved. It all can, but it may take some ongoing vigilance and some ongoing work. Jerry Wise for the deeper stuff, go and check that out. For the more trivial stuff related to sexuality, all the books that I mentioned, 50 Shades, My Secret Garden, Pimp, go check those out. And this stuff can also apply to people who are children of drug addicts or alcoholics as well, or had otherwise neglectful situations. Even just being product of a single mum could also be a product of neglect as well. This absurd over romanticization of single mums is absolutely fucking absurd. It's a disastrous situation. Let's be real. It is what it is. It happens, but it's fucking disastrous. It's not a cultural goal. It's not noble. It's an absolute disaster. It's a complete failure, and it should not. It's not something that it's something that should be, again. It should be shamed. It should actually be shamed. It's not something that. Yeah, men are too quiet about it now. It's something that is shameful. And it's not good. It's not good. What can I say? We've got all this stuff coming out of fucking Black America about single mums. They all worship their single mum. Absolutely bizarre. Absolutely fucking bizarre. Yeah. Nietzsche would be having a field day in the modern world. I wonder what Friedrich would make of the modern world. Fuck me. Yeah. It's all there for the taking though, guys. We just need to step up. We need to just learn. Okay, we're not boomers. We don't have the luxury just of being in a super rich society where that maybe can take care of a lot of our bullshit. We actually need to be psychologically put together and astute. So it's all solvable. Cold approach actually for a lot of guys kickstarts their process because they get some numbers and they get some success, but maybe they realize, hey, there's other stuff for me to develop here. And it's a real Kickstarter for overall self-development. Balth has found this, I found this. You go in, you get the girls, that's fine. That's the primary objective. But maybe you still find there's issues in relationships. Maybe you find you gravitate towards the wrong girls for the wrong reasons. And that's where the work has to come in. So hopefully this video has been useful for people. I've outlined today the 4 different types of nice guy. The first 2 being the hopeless romantic and the manipulative weasel. That's pretty superficial. And then the other types of nice guy, one as a response to trauma, accommodating pathology. And then the other is the over-responsible nice guy. Different types of things. Those last 2 are a lot deeper, in my opinion. And they're deeper personality patterns you want to be aware of. Yeah, check out Jerry Wise, check out the rest of my channel. If you want to learn more about cold approach, my channel's here. Yeah, Bollywood movies, yeah, dude. Oh, dude. Is it Indian, Pakistan dating culture, dude, is fucking bizarro, my friend. Bizarro. But yeah, Hollywood, Bollywoods. In society, men produce 80% of the actually materially valuable work. 80%. Mostly women are in support roles or they're in bullshit things like academia or like maybe they do some sales stuff as well. But the actual, look around this room here. Everything significant in this room was created by men. Everything. This table, this sofa, the TV was invented and created by men. The electrical wiring was done by men. The whole house was built by men. The lighting was done by men. The plumbing was done by men. All of that stuff is done by men. 80% of the productive work is done by men in society. So, but men psychologically can be co-opted, and this is the goal, right, of the whole system. We need to co-opt the men. We need their work for the state, yeah, and we need to keep them in line. So we use the women, yeah, or we use marriage, and we use this. Yeah, that Bollywood stuff is fucking bullshit, dude. Indian guys have got, they're miles away, man. They're miles away. They're miles away. The girls are just like any other girls, but the guys are fucking brainwashed as well. Um, so we'll leave things there, boys. Hopefully this has been a useful one. Peace, love, Josefsky. I'll catch you on the next one. We're doing lives every single day. We'll come on with a short and sharp one tomorrow. Balthus, good to catch you, mate. Mahid, good to catch you. Whoever else was in here as well. Yeah, Midnight, good to catch you as well. Take it easy, guys. I'll see you in the next one.